best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Oh, Joe Judge and his play on words. Joe Judge is optimistic that Daniel Jones can play against the Cardinals. All right, well, you know, that's a good thing, right? Optimism is always a good thing. And then you read articles that Daniel Jones is raring to go. He's ready to play. He's just going to have to need to convince Joe Judge. Okay, so, you know, we're getting better reports that Daniel Jones may have the opportunity to start on Sunday, but I'm not going to get excited about anything on Wednesday because of the fact that a player is always going to say that he wants to play. Any player that's a true competitor is always going to want to be out on the field. But we just need to, you know, always err on the side of caution. And I'm not going to sit there and say, yes, Daniel Jones is ready to come back from his hamstring injury, because you don't know. You don't know how his body's going to respond. You don't know how the weather's going to play into effect. You don't know how the scheme itself is going to play into effect, if they're going to want to focus more on Daniel Jones running the ball. A lot of factors are in play here. But just the fact that Joe Judge is optimistic about this, it gives you a little bit better of a feeling that maybe the Giants are going to be rolling towards that way and start Jones on Sunday. And I've said, now people are going to be like, wow, you're so disappointed. You know, you want your boy Colt McCoy to play. No, I've said it a million times. Daniel Jones gives us a better opportunity to win if he plays to expectations. He's also can potentially be a detriment if he plays his turnover game. So it's a catch-22 situation with Daniel Jones. You want Daniel Jones on the field because you know and you think he's going to give you the best chance to win, but you need to be sure what Daniel Jones you're getting. And that's, you know, and I don't want people, and like I said, and I've said this before with the Daniel Jones haters and the Daniel Jones apologists. The Daniel Jones haters are never going to see anything good in Daniel Jones, and the Daniel Jones apologists are never going to see any of his flaws. There's going to be no middle ground. This is actually worse than the Eli Manning debate, because so many people are so vested in Daniel Jones being their quarterback. And I think the reason that is because there's especially on YouTube, there's a lot more of a younger fan base. So the only quarterback that they know for 15 years is Eli Manning, or 10 years, or whatever I assume they've been following the Giants, is Eli Manning. So Daniel Jones is their first quarterback that was chosen and then in their era. So, of course, you want that guy to be Joe Montana. You know, you don't want him to be, you know, pick any bad quarterback. You don't want him to be him. You want him to be the best guy that you have for your generation or for your era, because that's your first pick. And then the older generation, who has been part of the Giant history for a while and remembers everything Eli Manning did the 10 years prior to when he started declining, you know, you're hoping that what you're seeing in Daniel Jones on the bad side is not a trend, is not going to, you know, lead us down the wrong, not lead us down to Kent Graham, Dave Brown, Danny Cannell, you know, lead us down that path, Scott Bruner. So, I mean, it's one of those weird, it's just really one of those weird situations. And like I said, this is worse than the Eli Manning debate, because it's, in some ways, it's generational. It's almost like you have, you know, the younger generation, no matter what, standing by their quarterback, and the older generation standing back and saying, okay, he could be good. Let's see what happens. Now, in a team against Arizona at home, I think it's a good game for him to come back and play. While Arizona does have a good defense, would I say they have a spectacular defense? No. And I think it's a better game for Daniel Jones to come back and play than the Seattle game was. Besides the fact that you get an extra week of rest, and you can go from there. But we have to take everything, like I said, you have to take everything with a grain of salt, because every player who's a competitor is going to tell you, yes, I am ready to go. I am fine. Even in my own career, I had a shoulder injury, and the shoulder it seemed like it was hanging there, and I barely had any rotation. And I remember the defense coordinator asking me, "Can you play? Are you ready to go?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to play, man. I'm good, 100%." Knowing back in my mind that I was maybe like 49%. So the players any player that's competitor is going to tell you they're ready to go. And I do like the fact that he thinks in his mind that he needs to convince Joe Judge that he is ready. Because that's telling me two things: that Joe Judge is looking for the best opportunity to win, and that's either going to be Daniel Jones or Colt McCoy. And he's potentially taking the look at this long term, because right now we are in a game-by-game basis. We have to win either to keep pace with Washington or to pass Washington. A loss is detrimental to the Giants. Right now, any loss is detrimental, especially if Washington loses, because then that screws up the whole play. So a game like this, we need to win. I was at the Cardinals game last year. It was a mess. But this is a different team. This defense is a different team. The only thing that bothers me about this game is Kyler Murray. Russell Wilson looked flustered. Russell Wilson looked like he wasn't sure what the Giant defense was doing. He was trying to stay too much more in the pocket. Seattle's a big play team, and so is Arizona. But the difference between Seattle and Arizona is Kyler Murray will run and get out of the pocket no matter what. He does not have the mindset right now of Russell Wilson when Russell Wilson is looking to make the big play with his arm. Russell Wilson will run when he needs to. Kyler Murray's always looking to run and extend that play. And with the potential back injury to Blake Martinez, we need to watch and monitor that situation, because we're going to need to hope that Carter Coughlin, Cam Brown, and Tate Crowder can play the same type of defense they played against Seattle, and keep the same type of containment they did with Russell Wilson, and just transpose that over to Kyler Murray. Also, some interesting news: the NFL has used the flex schedule on the Giants for the Cleveland game. We have been now moved into prime time, so now it's an 8:20 game. I thought you kind of have a feeling that was coming, especially with the story the Giants have turned into. I mean, I don't really think it's I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I mean, you go from a 1 o'clock game to an 8:20 game. It may screw you up a little. It may screw you up a little bit, but we're talking 7 hours difference. I mean, we're not talking, and it's a home game. So I mean, I'd be more concerned about if we were on the road. And Joe Judge is pretty much good. He's got a good pulse on his team and how he can keep his team. How he keeps his team motivated and how he keeps his team on schedule. So I'm not really worried about that. So let's get a better view on Thursday and Friday's practices on Daniel Jones before we start saying that he's going to come out and be the starter. Let's just let's go with Joe Judge's optimism that he could potentially play this weekend. And like I said, yes, he gives us the best opportunity to win the game, Daniel Jones, that is, as long as he is the Daniel Jones that put the turnovers in the suitcase and left the suitcase in the closet. If he's the other Daniel Jones, we're not even going to talk about that. We're not even going to breathe that. So again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you subscribe, if you're ringing that bell, I think you know what that means. That'd be awesome.